And we heard you, America.
Real America's Voice is coming to iHeart Media.
Yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media.
Just download the iHeart app and you'll have all of us right at your fingertips.
Scan the QR code and start streaming RAV anywhere you want.
Real America's Voice, available whenever you need us.
It's never been easier to stay connected with the voices you trust.
RAV on iHeart means you can take us with you wherever you go.
This is huge. The truth on iHeart. Ready whenever you are.
From Charlie Kirk to Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec to Grant Stinchfield, you'll find all your favorite RAV hosts in one place.
You can listen on Spotify, Pandora, or Amazon. RAV is now available everywhere you get your podcasts. All you need to do is scan the QR code right now.
Download the iHeart app today and get ready for Real America's Voice.
Scan the QR code and join the RAV movement.
And we heard you, America.
Real America's Voice is coming to iHeart Media.
Yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media.
Just download the iHeart app and you'll have all of us right at your fingertips.
Scan the QR code and start streaming RAV anywhere you want.
Real America's Voice, available whenever you need us.
It's never been easier to stay connected with the voices you trust.
RAV on iHeart means you can take us with you wherever you go.
This is huge. The truth on iHeart. Ready whenever you are.
From Charlie Kirk to Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec to Grant Stinchfield, you'll find all your favorite RAV hosts in one place.
You can listen on Spotify, Apple, Pandora, or Amazon. RAV is now available everywhere you get your podcasts. All you need to do is scan the QR code right now.
Download the iHeart app today and get ready for Real America's Voice.
Scan the QR.
So this so-called trade war, President Trump said, hey, 25% tariffs on Canada, 25% tariffs on Mexico. It lasted less than 24 hours. First, it was Mexico to cave. The president of Mexico saying, you know what, we'll put 10,000 troops on the border and we'll get it under control. Okay, President Trump says, pause the tariffs 30 days. Then, after Justin Trudeau's blustery little dopey comments, which was going to get him in more hot water with America, he then smartens up and says, you know what, we're going to put 10,000 troops on the Canadian border to stop the fentanyl and drugs coming into America, and terrorists, by the way. Canada has vowed to spend $1.3 billion in border security. They will designate the cartels, and yes, the Mexican cartels operate in Canada. That's something not a lot of people talk about, but it's very true. Canada says they will designate them a foreign terrorist organization. And for that, Trump has paused the tariffs for 30 days now. Here's what I want you to know. President Trump's talk of tariffs is not a bluff. This man fully believes that America has been taken advantage of for far too long. American citizens have been forced to pick up the bill for the wild spending of members of Congress, and it's time we start raising money. People will have to pay to play in the greatest free market in the world. And so that's what tariffs are about. Here's President Trump.
And I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada, and something's going to happen there. But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them. And this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent. Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada. And we're not going to allow that.
So tariffs can be used for two reasons. They can be used to retaliate against nations that are acting in a manner that is not in the best interest of the United States. Clearly open borders, not in the best interest of the United States. It can also be used as a tool to raise money. President Trump ought to go after the European Union. Start tariffing goods coming in from them. This is about leverage. America has it. This is a fabulous economy here. Everybody wants to be in it. And so clearly the politicians in Canada and Mexico in some respects are not happy about the might that President Trump brings with him. This is a politician in Canada.
I think with Donald, it's so important that he looks like he's won something. I mean, this isn't gunboat diplomacy. This is really, I don't know, like Al Capone in his syphilitic period trying to do a shakedown. So, yeah, we'll make concessions on something that, you know, he can write a press release about. But on key areas, Canadians would hunt our leaders down if they bowed and kissed the ring to the man from Mar-a-Lago. It's not going to happen.
Well, it did happen. And you can talk about a press release this, a press release that. 77% of Canada's imports come from the United States. They need us. How about the amount of imports coming from Canada into the United States? It amounts for 6% of our total goods and services that we import into the United States. Now, think about this, too. When everybody's saying, oh, tariffs are going to raise prices on everything, we're going to get hammered. The American economy is so strong, we only import 15% of our total GDP. 15%. Now, yes, Mexico amounts for about a third of what we import. China, about a third. As I said, Canada, about 6%. But these are small numbers in the overall scheme of things. And I will say this, that yes, we can raise money with tariffs. They will help offset what President Trump wants to do to bring down inflation. That is lower taxes, okay? That is deregulate business and industry, which he's already started doing, unleashing our energy resources. And by the way, all these things will bring down the cost of goods and services, and it will help, the tariffs will offset all of these tax cuts. But here's the key. Congress needs to decrease spending. Without decreasing spending, nothing happens. This is Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase.
Unfair competition, national security issues. You know, if like any tool, if it's misused, yeah, it can do damage too.
But your point is that you think it is a legitimate negotiating tool.
Absolutely. You know, every country is allowed to make its own unilateral actions. You know, if you look at what China's been doing for years, they do this already.
Threaten and...
No, they put up their own tariffs, their own laws, their own rules, their own regulations. They make a lot of unilateral actions.
Here's what you do. For the goods and services that America does a great job in producing, tariff the crap out of those things. For things we don't produce in America, well, leave the tariffs off of those things. And that's what President Trump was going to do. In all, we want America to compete. And don't forget, many of these companies in Canada have already said if these tariffs were to go through, they would have moved their plants to the United States. America's more important to them than Canada is. No tariffs if you're here, right, Mr. President?
Tariffs also have another side. Isn't that something that you have to acknowledge?
No.
You could be plunging America into the biggest trade war since Smoot-Hawley.
But there are no tariffs.
You're going to stop. There are tariffs already at the moment.
There are no tariffs. All you have to do is build your plant in the United States, and you don't have any tariffs.
But people, a lot of places like this.
Build your plant here, no tariffs. Last argument of why this will not raise prices. All you have to do is go back in history. President Trump did this before. Everybody warned prices would go up, and they didn't. For these reasons, President Trump has convinced me this tariff idea is not so bad. Joining me now, brand new West Virginia Congressman, Republican, member of the House Appropriations Committee, Riley Moore is with us. Congressman, it's good to have you on, and congratulations on your new seat in the House of Representatives.
Hey, Grant, thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what did you make of, as I said, the winning that took place over the weekend, Congressman?
Well, you know, his first term was, marked by so much success. I feel like he's done more in this first month than he did in his first year in office, the first term, which is hard to believe. This is just win after win after win. And he is very rare in politics, which is he literally does exactly what he campaigns on, which is a sad thing to say that many don't, but he very much does. And he is implementing this America First agenda, everything, every lens he looks through, every department that he's looking at, he's trying to comport to this America First agenda, which is very simple. We're going to put Americans first, our interests first, and utilizing every tool in his tool bag to make sure that our tax dollars are being spent to secure our borders and make sure that the services that our government provides actually puts Americans first instead of perhaps like illegal immigrants and other people all over the country, right? And so I couldn't be happier with this first month in office. I mean, it's not even quite been a month. I mean, we're just barely there. So hard to believe it's only been a month.
All right. I don't know if you're like me. I was not really a tariff guy. I've always said, though, that you have to have fair trade in order to have free trade. And clearly the trade has not been fair across the globe to the United States. But President Trump really did a good job of convincing me when you look at all of these arguments about an open border and Americans being exploited and America getting the short end of the stick. American banks can't even operate in Canada, which makes no sense. He has changed my mind on this. How has been your progression? Were you always a tariff guy? Are you a tariff guy now? Were you always here? What was your progression?
Yeah, I've generally been a tariff guy, and that is because here in West Virginia, like in my district, Weirton, West Virginia, which is close to where my family's from, we have watched free trade destroy our steel industry here in West Virginia. Weirton, for instance, is only 30 minutes from Pittsburgh. We have laid off thousands and thousands of people over the decades from NAFTA, China and the World Trade Organization, all these other things. And then just recently in the Biden administration, we couldn't get tariffs on tin plate steel. You know, he's supposed to be the most pro-union president ever. And guess what? Because we didn't get those tariffs on tin plate steel there in Weirton, we laid off 1,000 United Steel workers. And now it's sad to say there's only one blast furnace left in the entire country that makes tin plate steel, and it's left in Ohio. This is not putting America first. And so for me, I've watched this for a very long time in my state.
Well, bringing up steel is a great example of how we get hammered by China operating in an unfair manner. The other aspect to all of this is if we're going to bring in tariffs, and I think we will see some along the way here, even though there's this pause on Mexico and Canada for the next 30 days, Congress needs to do its job. Now, I know you're new up there. You're going to get a rude awakening as to just how much they love to spend, even your fellow Republicans. Can Congress do its job and actually cut spending in Washington?
Well, you know, I was really encouraged by the conference and meeting that we had down there with President Trump and Doral just earlier this week. And I do think we can control spending. I do think we can cut spending. But that actually, as you mentioned in your intro there, that coupled with tariffs, that will produce a massive amount of revenue. When you're looking at the 10-year out and some of these tariffs that President Trump is talking about implementing, we're talking over $1 trillion perhaps in just the 10-year out. I mean, that is a huge amount of money. And as President Trump said so perfectly at Doral when he was talking to us, he said, instead of taxing U.S. citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be taxing and tariffing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Perfect. Go put that on a monument. I love it. And that is exactly what we should be doing.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, there's another aspect to raise some money as well. So I love because he thinks out of the box, right? So talking about Ukraine. I've not been a fan of the amount of money being spent in Ukraine by United States citizens and taxpayers. This is... Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. My apologies for what has been gremlins in the system. I don't know why they want to shut old Stinchfield down out there, but the gremlins were working in full force. We should have a fix in place right now, and I apologize for having to run a little bit of yesterday's show, but we are up and running, and we still do have a very big show for you. Much the same topic that we were talking about last night, we are talking about tonight, and that, of course, is the amount of spending that has been uncovered by Elon Musk, this USAID agency that appears to be a slush fund for the intelligence agencies, the deep state, and a shadow government that I believe in the end is kicking money back to many of these Democrat elites, maybe even Republicans, the establishment that have known for so long about how this government had operated. So it's interesting because the Democrats are exposing themselves. The more they push back against this wasteful, radical spending, the more they expose themselves as frauds. For example, Jamie Raskin, unhinged.
Elon Musk, you didn't create U.S. aid. The United States Congress did for the American people. Right. And just like Elon Musk did not create U.S. aid, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
Yeah, they want to stop him because USAID has been funneling money to the pet projects of the elite, the globalist agenda, literally LGBTQ mania across the globe. Nobody wants to spend money on that. And so because they're losing these battles, because everyday folks who say money for studying gay men having sex in South Africa, $20 million for a Sesame Street in Iraq, Guatemalan sex changes, the people are saying, what's going on here? The Democrats then resort to their tried and true ways, lying.
If they can close down USAID, they can close down Social Security. Billionaire who's not elected have access to your information. They can cut your checks off. So if you think this isn't important, you are very misled.
All right, all of those are lies. What does cutting off spending to radical pet projects of the globalists have anything to do with Social Security? Nothing. But they know, again, they're losing to President Trump. Common sense. So they come with lies and they freak people out. Politico just dropped a story. You know, we told you $8 million was spent from the government on subscriptions to Politico. Okay, subscriptions, 8 million. Well, the 8 million was just in 2024. $44 million is the number since 2017. You see it on your screen there, $32 million in subscriptions only, by the way. $6.9 million from Health and Human Services to Politico, and $3 million each for the Department of Energy and the Department of Interior for subscriptions. You can't share a password in your office. It was a pay-to-play scheme. The intelligence apparatus of the United States was running a cash flow, money laundering scheme to Politico so they could operate as a propaganda arm of course, the deep state. Well, now there is a push to get leftists to call members of Congress. I want you to take a look at this. This is from an email that was given to me by Congresswoman Boebert. And it reads, thousands of us rely on this money that was approved by Congress. This is an anti-Musk email designed to call people like Lauren Boebert and others. Musk does not have a proper security clearance, nor does his team. He has gone behind his mandate outlined in the executive order to establish Doge and is abusing his position of power. Well, thousands of you don't rely on any money. And certainly gay people in South Africa don't rely on this money. It's Americans' money. Well, I want to bring in now Republican Colorado Congresswoman, Representative Lauren Boebert is with us. Congresswoman, it's good to see you.
It's great to see you too, Grant.
All right, you texted me this morning and you said your office is overwhelmed with phone calls, these emails. I understand Anna Paulina Luna is saying the same thing. Have you figured out yet where this email is coming from and who's pushing this massive push to have them call people like you?
Well, Grant, I didn't look into the author of the script, but at least in my office, they're mostly getting the script right. With Ana Paulina Luna, she was getting calls to refuse President Trump's face from being added to mountains that aren't even in America. So, there's certainly issues with the script. But the thing is, they are having folks call to gripe about Elon Musk. And most of the folks can't even get through the script and are just saying, hey, I don't know what to do about this, and really wanting answers. We've been able to provide a lot of answers and tell them where this money is going through U.S. aid and say this is your tax dollars that we are being good stewards of. As a member of Congress, I want to codify this. I want to ensure that we continue to have oversight and accountability with tax dollars. I don't want $11.5 million for gender programming throughout the State Department. I don't want $300 million for environmental resilience in Guatemala, or $15 million for condoms to the Taliban through USAID, and so much more. These are things that I'm actually having an opportunity to communicate to those who are calling in, maybe for the first time ever, to their member of Congress. But then others are well seasoned with the scripts and know how to stick to the script. But we do have work to do in our offices, and now there is staff time that's dedicated to answering those calls, many that aren't even within my district. My staff is happy to take the calls, of course, but we do have work to do to ensure that we are codifying this. And Grant, I think the House of Representatives needs to start working even more diligently to codify the executive orders that President Trump is doing such a great job at issuing. We need to be passing these bills, multiple bills, every single day to ensure that we are signing these things into law, and they can't be stopped by a judge or overturned in another administration.
Yeah, if you do that and you cover the president's back with law, it takes the teeth out of any court cases they may try to push through. All right, let's play a little game, you and me. Pick a number between 1 and 25, Congresswoman.
All right, I got it.
What is it?
Do I have to tell you it? I thought this was a magic show. 17.
No, magic trick. What is
I
it,
thought 17? You were going to show me a trick. 17.
No, I've got a list of all the things. So 17, okay. 17, $1.3 million to Arab and Jewish photographers. Do you want to pick one more number?
12.
12. $16.8 million for a separate inclusion group in Vietnam. Now, we can play that game all day long, and yet the Democrats are screaming and yelling about stopping this from being exposed. I don't even think Democrats across the country are going to be on board with Democrats screaming and yelling about this.
Yes, I agree. I was actually talking to one of my Democrat colleagues on the House floor today who says that he's a member of the Doge caucus and is in support of Doge and its mission. He would like to see Congress actually pass the legislation. In his viewpoint, this is not a legal avenue to stop this. But we saw the Biden administration go on a complete spending spree before leaving office. And just in the last month of the Biden administration alone, Congress was notified that $1.5 billion in foreign aid at the State Department was sent overseas. And so they can spend it without our explicit approval. We can certainly stop it without the explicit approval of Congress. But I am eager to get these bills passed and signed into law to give them nothing to gripe about.
Last question before I let you go. This situation with Politico, this may be one of the worst scandals to hit the press industry as long as I can remember. You've got $44 million now being funneled through the United States government to Politico for subscriptions only. No grant money, just subscriptions. What do you make of this?
Yes, well, actually, many members of the House have subscribed to this. I had a lower level subscription because we were in a minority and in an administration that would not communicate with us. And some of the stories were explicitly on that program. And looking at the rest of the subscriptions that were taking place throughout the administration, they did have direct access to what was going on and were not blocked like Republican members of the House. We would have members of the administration before our committee and given no answers. And the only way to find out what was happening in a lot of this was to sign up for that. But this was a total scam. It was never supposed to be something that we should have to pay for, especially as members of Congress or anyone within the federal government. This is absolutely outrageous. I gripe when I have to pay $50 for a Denver Post subscription for an entire year, and here we are forced to spend this money on a pro program. I'm happy to say that January was my renewal for the Political Pro, and I was happy to decline that then, and will continue to expose all of the media and the propaganda that has been funded through USAID.
Well, it certainly needs exposure, and I appreciate you doing just that. Thank you for coming on tonight, and I'll work on my magic. The Democrats have me beat with their disappearing act. Money disappears before our very eyes when Democrats get a hold of it, but we'll work on our magic game. We'll take the show on the road. Congresswoman Boebert, thanks for coming on. All right, thank you. All right, folks, we're going to come back. I want to talk a little bit about China. The ICE, call them raids, roundups, situation in Colorado. They were tipped off. The gangs were. And apparently the gangs were gone when they showed up at that apartment complex. We'll talk about that.
It's an absolute problem. It happens all of the time. If you own property, you've got equity, you can be a victim.
How can a scammer actually steal my home?
It's so easy for them to get the original document. They can download it and forge it. They begin to take out loans, and you're left holding the bag.
What can I do to protect my title?
Go to HomeTitleLock.com. We monitor your title and alert you if anything disturbs your title. Protect your home. You'll sleep better that night.
Hello, friends. Pat Boone here with a message from the past. Imagine the shock of reading tomorrow's newspaper and discovering the price of gold has doubled to over $1,000 an ounce. Sound impossible? Well, it's not. That's right. Back in 2006, my friends at Swiss America forecast gold prices would top $1,000 an ounce, and they were right. Today, several financial firms are forecasting $3,000 gold. Now, for over 40 years, Swiss America has helped folks like you and me purchase precious metals for home delivery and for our IRAs. So don't miss this opportunity again. Call or text Swiss America at the number on your screen now to receive your free portfolio review and a copy of The Timeless Truth About Gold and Silver. Learn for yourself how easy it is to safeguard your money. Call or text Swiss America today.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? Then you need the new, clinically proven Legzercise Pro, the natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural drug-free way.
After using Legzercise for a week, I felt like I wanted to go for a walk again without pain like I used to.
Legzercise Pro's patented walking simulator propulsion technology moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home.
It's helped with the swelling and the pain. The tingling feeling is gone.
Call right now and order your very own Legzercise Pro, the clinically proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call now.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. Don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-899-6246.
Back here. One of the big concerns right now about President Trump's tariffs is what will happen with China and specifically our energy industry. Look, China needs our oil, It needs our coal. It needs our liquefied natural gas. Now, Joe Biden already decimated our liquefied natural gas exports. But China's leveling tariffs on our energy sector. But we run a massive trade deficit with China, which is why I don't think they can really hurt us when we run a $1 trillion deficit to China. If we were running surpluses, it most certainly would hurt us. I want to bring in with me now an expert on the energy sector. He is a West Virginia state senator, chairman of the West Virginia Energy Industry and Mining Committee in that legislative body. Senator Chris Rose is with us. Senator, welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Grant. Thank you for letting us on.
Absolutely. So, look, West Virginia, the oil and gas industry, just like where I am in Texas, very important. What are you making of the tariffs China has now laid back on the United States?
What I make of them, actually, despite the mainstream media's hysteria, it's actually a golden opportunity for American energy to enter that golden age. Because listen, folks, China needs America a lot more than we need China. So far as our energy outsourcing efforts, China is about 5 to 7%, depending on the fluctuation in the markets of our coal, oil, and gas and consumption. We actually could partner with allies in Italy, in India, and other European nations to actually meet the demand of our energy producers here in our country. And I've actually been having talks with the Department of Energy and some folks in these other countries I mentioned about, instead of buying from China, buy from America to offset what the tariffs would have done through China by just sending our energy elsewhere.
So, Senator, when it comes to liquefied natural gas, Joe Biden basically decimated that market. Are you seeing it come back?
Absolutely. So here in West Virginia, we already have 2 gas-fired power plants on the way. That's going to be huge boost to the natural gas industry, not only in West Virginia, but to Ohio and Pennsylvania as well. You know, we're in a unique position here with, we're within 40% of the East Coast. We could be the energy hub for not only America, but also the European allies that are actually, dependent upon China's energy. Look, this has been a one-way thing for decades. President Trump is not doing anything but trying to get a free and fair market for the United States. And West Virginia and Texas and other energy states are standing readily available and by to fill the energy needs of this country and all of our allies. We can beat China in this trade war. We just have to unleash the energy underneath their feet to get it done.
Okay, so in the end, do you think America comes out on the winning end of what's going on between China and America?
Absolutely. So not only is American energy going to be unleashed by Trump's America First policies, manufacturing is going to boom as a result. So more and more of this energy will be consumed domestically. And that means that we don't have to even worry as much about, exporting to international markets. And it's going to be good paying jobs for Americans. It's going to be America first. It's going to be wage increases. President Trump was doing this in his first term. This is nothing new. Prices will not go up to American consumers. But one thing that will happen is a manufacturing boom that we have not seen in 100 years.
Yeah, you're very right. All you have to do is look back in history. And President Trump did this before. We saw no rise in prices whatsoever. And this amounts to China, a very small portion of the amount of energy and our exports going to China. It's not a big portion that we're talking about. So I'm with you on this. West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Absolutely. All right, I want to turn now to Colorado. We had Tren de Agua that took over that Aurora, Colorado apartment complex. So Tom Homan, the border czar, went in with his ICE agents. And what happened? They weren't there anymore. They were tipped off. This is Tom Homan talking about that.
They crossed the line of impediment, and that's why I'm working very close starting this morning with Department of Justice and where do they cross that line of impediment. So they may find themselves in a pair of handcuffs very soon. So working with DOJ on that, get some legal guidance on that. I'm not an attorney. I know what SecOps is about. I know what crossing that line is, but getting DOJ back up on that. So it's something we're looking at right now, Harris. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. This is not a game. When we show up these sites, this is a dangerous job for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and all the DOJ agencies. To have that type of interference puts our officers at great risk.
That Ben shot. Okay, so he says you're going to tip off gang members to their raids, you're going to go to jail too. And that's a good thing, because I do think it is against the law to be tipping off these people, and you're putting law enforcement in danger as well. I want to bring in now a guy who's been in and around these ICE roundups, our own border correspondent, Ben Berkwam, is with us. Ben, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Great to be with you, Grant.
All right, so what do you have for me, Ben? What have you witnessed over the last few days, and where is the state of things today?
Speaking of ICE operations, we just finished up 2 operations. I was with New York on Tuesday and Baltimore yesterday. I think the studio should have a little clip for us to play. I don't know if that's ready to go.
All right, let's do it. Roll that clip that Ben sent to us.
Going after the worst of the worst in criminals. It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
The individuals that we're looking to pick up today, associated with MS-13.
Foreign terrorist organization.
Hands up. We see your hands. Don't move.
Drugs, guns, human trafficking.
Worst go first. We are just trying to make the community safer.
We're with you 100%.
For more Law and Border, scan the QR code. We go where others won't.
All right, Ben, so you're out there. You're just one crew with, at one time, one crew going out and trying to find these people. How many arrests did you witness? And I'm thinking this is going on all across the country.
Yeah. These operations are happening all across the country. You mentioned Tom Homan, really frustrating. You know, I've been in conversations with him since President Trump took office, and beyond frustrated with these leaks, and question whether that's coming out of Homeland Security or some other media outlets. And I understand, but it just shows that there are people working within our own country that are working to undermine this country, that are getting this information out, not just to the activist groups, because we know that's happening too, but also directly to these criminals that we're going after. Just to give you an idea, when I was riding yesterday, we caught 2 guys, one MS-13 member, and in fact, we just found out he's also going to be charged with murder in the United States. They were going after, I think, 13 yesterday, MS-13 gang members. But every single one, just to put it in perspective, every single person I've been a part of catching, whether that was in Chicago, New York, or in Baltimore yesterday, every one of them had been previously incarcerated in a sanctuary jurisdiction, and the ICE detainers were not granted, they weren't upheld, and so they were released back into the community. And where we got the guy yesterday, this MS-13 member who was wanted for murder, he was in a suburban neighborhood. He was actually renting a room from a woman. He had started renting the room a week before, and she had no idea. Thankfully, she was there when we arrived, because she let us in the house and go get this guy. But they're everywhere. They're in every community across America. And now ICE is having to go back in those communities because the sanctuary jurisdictions are letting these scumbags out.
And then you add on top of that people tipping off these goons as to when ICE is coming. You're not only putting ICE members in danger, but you're putting the community in danger too as they scatter and remain at large. So, Ben, be safe out there. We appreciate you bringing this to us, and I can't wait to see more of your work, dear. It's fascinating stuff. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Grant.
Absolutely. All right, I want to turn now to Alabama. You know me, I believe in gun rights, and I believe you should have the ability to stand your ground. That means if your life is threatened, you should have the ability to use deadly force. Well, Alabama has a stand your ground law. Let me run this clip, cut 3, and a little explainer, and then I'll tell you about this case we're going to focus in on after this.
Also known as the Stand Your Ground Law, in February of 2024. At the subsequent immunity hearing in June, the new district attorney, Summer Summerford, presented no credible evidence to support the charge. In fact, Sullivan's defense team entered in evidence that Bagwell's bond had been revoked 3 days before the shooting, and the DA's office believed Bagwell was a danger to the community.
All right. I needed to explain the case before. I thought that was an explainer of the actual law. It's not. It's an explainer of the case. And let me explain it to you this way. There was a gentleman named Keith Sullivan. Long history with his neighbors. A neighbor who every single person in the community says was crazy. Tried to burn his own house down. Maybe even did. That is the man who was arrested for killing the neighbor, a guy by the name of Gregory Mark. That on your screen there is Keith Sullivan. Keith Sullivan came to the door in the middle of the night, and that man there was at the door. Apparently, Sullivan thought he went for something in his waist, maybe even a lighter to light his place on fire. He shot and killed him. In the end, guess who got arrested? Keith Sullivan. Even in a state like Alabama, a red state you would think would respect gun rights. Now, I will take the opportunity to say this. Folks, you know, I worked for the NRA for a long time. Personal protection is my specialty. You want to avoid a situation like this. If someone is at your door at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you harm, you not only call 911, you put your family in a safe place, you take up a defensive position with cover inside that door with the door locked, and anybody comes through that door, you blow them away. If you go outside, tactical advantage is totally gone, and you don't know if there's one person outside, there could be 10 people outside. So if this gentleman, Keith Sullivan, and I'll call him a gentleman, by the way, would have done that, we could have avoided this whole situation, but he didn't. He went out, and he felt threatened, he defended his life, and now he's in jail awaiting trial. It's a shame. With me now is the defense attorney who represented Daniel Penny. He is also representing Keith Sullivan. Thomas Kenneth is here. Good evening, Thomas, and congratulations on the Daniel Penny case. That was a big victory for all freedom lovers across America. Thank you for that, and thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Cole. I appreciate those kind words. It was a great victory, and I appreciate you having me on here tonight to talk about this case because it really is, in many ways, it's just as compelling as the Daniel Penny case. And one thing I wanted to bring out initially, your advice is sound. The notion that you stay in your house and you call 911 and you take a defensive position, but that wasn't an option in this case. And I'll tell you why for two reasons. One, Keith Sullivan, this great guy with his wife and his teenage daughter, were in the house at 2 a.m., live in a very rural part of Alabama. On average, it takes about 30 to 40 minutes once you call 911 or the sheriff's department for someone to respond. He knows that because the police have been called twice on Bagwell, on Mr. Bagwell that day, and that's up to a half an hour before the incident. And that was the response time. That's how long it takes. Secondly, Keith Sullivan had reason to believe, very good reason to believe, that Greg Bagwell was about to torch his house. Well, you say, well, why would he think that? Well, because Greg Bagwell was actually out on bond for torching his own home months earlier. He was a known arsonist to the degree that there was testimony from a man who owns the local service station in town that says they refused to sell him gasoline because they knew he used it to burn stuff down because he was an arsonist. And when my client sees him from the inside the house, before he goes outside, on his security cameras that he had in place in part because the family was being terrorized on an ongoing basis by Greg Bagwell, he sees Bagwell with a lighter in hand, clutching a lighter. It's the lighter that, by the way, when the police arrive and Bagwell is lying on the ground after being shot, he's clutching that lighter. So he had his weapon of choice in his hand, and remaining inside with your wife and your teenage daughter when a known arsonist is on your porch at 2 a.m. for no good reason with a lighter in hand, in this case, it just wasn't an option.
And I'm glad you raised that, because every single situation is going to be different. So there's something called OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. Observe your surroundings, orient yourself to them, decide what you're going to do, and then act. If someone's about to burn your house down with your kids and family in it, I understand why you go out and why you stop that threat from doing that. Now, this gets us to the stand your ground law in Alabama. I would imagine Alabama has a very strong stand your ground law that especially if you're on your own property and you feel you're in danger at all, you have the right to use deadly force. Can you explain to me the Alabama law and how the prosecutor misinterprets it here to charge this gentleman?
Well, I could try to explain it, but I can tell you this is a very talented legal team here. There's myself, Stephen Razor. We got Buddy Caldwell on this team, who is the former AG of Louisiana and something of a local legend down there. Nick Sparks, who's a great local attorney, and others. And despite all these potent legal minds, no one can understand, including the observers at this multi-day stand your ground hearing, how this case wasn't tossed. And we don't have enough time for in any news segment for me to lay it all out. But to put one thing in context, it was brought out at the stand your ground hearing that the same district attorney's office, mind you, call that, is prosecuting Keith Sullivan for murdering Bagwell, 6 times had filed motions to revoke Bagwell's bond because, in their words, not mine, he was a imminent danger to the community. There were expert after witness after witness that within the police department that talked about, how dangerous this guy was. It came out at the hearings that he had actually had an armed standoff with police. This was known to my client before this incident, by the way, 2015, where he's shooting at his neighbor's house. And then the sheriff's deputies come in and he's still shooting. They have to tear gas the place to take him out and arrest him. On the day of the incident, I pointed this out earlier, police had twice been called to Bagwell's house because there was gunshots coming from his property. He was destroying his own trailer with a pipe. He was making threats about wanting, I'm not going effing back to jail tonight. I want a bullet. This was all in my client's mind when he finds this maniac on his porch at 2 a.m. when his wife and daughter are sleeping inside. So I wish I had a more direct answer as to why this judge didn't throw this case out. Unfortunately, we're all a bit flummoxed.
Real quick, before I let you go, if you could do this quickly. Is it as simple as I say, that the stand your ground laws in Alabama, that if you fear for your life, you have a right to stand your? It doesn't mean whether someone has to have a gun. You could be a 300-pounder and an 80-pound woman. You could fear for your life and use a firearm. Is it that simple? And this judge just totally gets it wrong?
It is that simple. It is reasonable. Key word there: reasonable. Reasonable fear of serious bodily harm or death. The reasonableness of Keith Sullivan's fear was informed not only by the behaviors of what is this guy doing, what good could this guy be doing on my porch at 2 a.m. And when Sullivan confronts him, he tells him some cockamamie story. I thought you told me I can come up here and take one of your cars. So it was informed by his actions. It was informed when Sullivan then reaches for his pocket and looks like he's reaching for a gun after Keith Sullivan tells him, hey, get the hell out of here. But it was informed by what he knew about Greg Bagwell, what everyone knew about him and what he was capable of. So reasonableness all over the place.
Look, as soon as I read it, I said this is reasonable to defend your life in this situation. So we'll be pulling for him. If there's anything we can do to help, please keep us informed. We'll try to follow this case as it goes through, because you would think in Alabama that would be one place where gun owners could feel safe. Not so much. Gun owners are under it in every state across this country. But we appreciate all the work you do defending freedom and law-abiding citizens. Thank you so much, Thomas Kenniff. Really, thank you.
Thanks, Cole. I appreciate it. Anybody wants to help out, Keith Sullivan Legal Defense Fund on Give, Send, Go. He's up against it here.
All right, Keith Sullivan Legal Defense Fund on Give, Send, Go. All right, pay that a visit. Folks, I'll tell you what, Energized Health, do you know this group? They helped me lose 15 pounds in just about 2 weeks. And I've been on the program, and I continue to supercharge my energy. I got everything feeling great. I've lost visceral fat. I've got muscle mass that has been building. And you know what? Everything's working. So if you want to take your life back, do me this favor. Go to energizedhealth.com, okay? And tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you over at RAV, and they will help you take your life back. The process is so easy. Energizedhealth.com. Hundreds of testimonials you can check out. There's a master class there as well. It's about intercellular hydration, and they offer a 100% money-back guarantee. Again, I'm proof that it works. I love telling you about things that I have gone through, and Energized Health is one of those. Energizedhealth.com. All right, coming up next, folks, we are going to talk about Democrats that continue to hold up President Trump's cabinet nominations. We'll focus on RFK Jr. next.
It's time to get your dream kitchen at Cabinets to Go.
Right now, save on every single cabinet in your design. Up to $175 off per cabinet. Come in today and get your dream kitchen for just $148 per month.
Cabinets to Go. Wow for less.
America is celebrating the start of President Trump's second term. Now, for a limited time, you can get the Kid's Guide to President Trump and a limited edition collectible pin for free. Hurry, supplies are very limited. Visit freetrumpbundle.com now. That's freetrumpbundle.com.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
And it's all because of generous people like you who support Shriners Hospitals for Children every month.
All you have to do is call the number on your screen or go online to loveshriners.org right now with your monthly gift.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, dance around. If you're happy and you know it, play a song.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, take a shot.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Will today be the day you send your love to the rescue?
When you call the number on your screen right now and give as little as $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll be making a life-changing difference for a child, just like Sarah.
Your monthly gift today could change your life forever.
Because of you.
We are happy and we know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call or go online right now to give. If operators are busy, please wait patiently or go to loveshriners.org right away.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, we get you printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple iTunes, and bookstores. We'll even promote your book.
Call 1-800-319-0257. That's 1-800-319-0257.
Well, folks, I want to get right to maybe the most important nomination. One of them is the nomination of RFK Jr. to push back against the pharmaceutical company. I want to bring in with you now Chief Epidemiologist at the wellness company, Dr. Harvey Risch, is with us. Dr. Risch, it's good to see you.
Likewise, great to be back with you.
All right, so what do you think of RFK Jr.'s prospects now?
I think they're excellent. I think the Senate has made its peace with him in agreement with things that he has agreed to kind of modulate his activities. And I think that's all fair and rational. And I think that we're in for a very constructive and beneficial period here.
All right, you and I have talked a lot about Big Pharma and its grip, vice grip on members of Congress, on bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. What will this do to that grip by having a guy like RFK Jr. in there?
I don't think he's looking to damage pharma. I think he's looking to benefit the health of Americans. And I think that the way he sees this is gathering evidence. He's not looking to get rid of vaccines. He's looking to prove that the vaccines are safe. And I think there's a big desire to prove that the vaccines are safe, to get evidence of that, and to go forward knowing that they are. So, and I think that the vaccines are largely safe. The question really is, how big is largely? And I think that's kind of where he's at, is to try to gather evidence dealing with the safety of the vaccines. If they're safe, that's great. They get canonized. If they're not as safe as we'd like, then to guide the manufacturers into modifying them or making new ones.
clearly what we saw with COVID was an in-bed mentality between the bureaucrats at the FDA and Big Pharma. I don't know if he'll look at individual drugs. He might. But I think that's what he needs to look at, is the relationship between Big Pharma paying for studies and paying for articles and bureaucrats and government profiting off of all of this stuff, where it becomes in their best interest to approve whether or not it's safe for America. Your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you. I think all of these negative incentives need to be removed from the process. The corruption needs to be removed from the process. There needs to be regulation, but somehow attorneys and regulators need to work on methods to figure out how to do this so that there isn't all this financial force involved in compelling decisions against scientific evidence.
Yeah. For sure. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I know you're with the Wellness Company, which has been so instrumental in raising the alarm about the corruption that you talk about, being a strong voice. I want to tell people, Dr. Risch, about where they can get the emergency Wellness Company offers up. I have this kit, and I also have, folks, the Field Kit, and I am a fan of both. Here's what you do to get one. Go to twc.health/voice. Use the promo code VOICE to save 10% off. There is, inside this kit, you've got ivermectin and a slew of other very helpful medications, prescription drugs in here that when disaster strikes, when illness strikes, you will have it on hand. God forbid there's a natural disaster, a terrorist attack, who knows, and you can't get to the drugstore. Have the drugs on hand as part of your arsenal. Again, twc.health/voice. Use the promo code VOICE and save 10%. All right, some final thoughts when we come back, and Stinchfield continues tonight.
If anyone has told you that gaining weight, feeling tired, and struggling with nagging digestive and joint issues is just a part of getting older, they are wrong. My name is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and after years of struggling with these same issues, I found a new way to support my health at home by making one simple change to my diet. It's called BioComplete 3. BioComplete 3 works by restoring your gut health from the inside out. This is a major part of how I lost 70 pounds and have kept the weight off for 25 years. It's not just me. This is working for everybody. Joe helped his gut health, and you can see the changes, not just how he looks on the outside, but how much better he felt on the inside.
I was 270. I'm now 140. It just feels amazing. Thank you, Dr. Gundry.
I helped all these people achieve incredible changes to their weight, their digestion, even their skin. And for a limited time, you can try BioComplete 3 risk-free for 90 days. Go to guthealthsecret.com.
Who wants to drag out a bulky vacuum? Introducing Horsepower Duck, a super compact vac with ultra-powerful suction. Clean up that mess in the kitchen, the spill on the sofa, even sawdust in the workshop. Just duck it up. The compact design can reach the tightest places, so store it in any drawer where it's always at your fingertips. You can even store it in your glove box for the ultimate car vac. The HEPA filter helps remove dust and allergens. Plus, it dumps out with ease, so it's ready to clean again. Get the Horsepower Duck handbag for just $39.99. Order right now and we'll upgrade you to the Duck Pro package, a $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube, the crevice nozzle, and the soft brush nozzle, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 ducks per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low price, so don't delay. Duck it up today.
Call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com now.
You asked, and we heard you, America.
Real America's Voice is coming to iHeart Media.
Yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media.
Just download the iHeart app, and you'll have all of us right at your fingertips.
Scan the QR code and start streaming RAV anywhere you want.
Real America's Voice, available whenever you need us.
It's never been easier to stay connected with the voices you trust.
RAV on iHeart means you can take us with you wherever you go.
This is huge. The truth on iHeart. Ready whenever you are. From Charlie Kirk to Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec to Grant Stinchfield, you'll find all your favorite RAV hosts in one place.
You can listen on Spotify, Apple, Pandora, or Amazon.